Hello, this is Kennyson here, and today we have the Bloons Analysis video of the mixed eco strat. After all this time, we finally got it done. So, just like with the last one, it's going to be very in-depth. I'm going to be explaining as much as I possibly can think of. If there's something I think of, I will say it, and I will not be afraid to stop the video to say it. I'm sure you all know that by now. It goes very in-depth, and you will learn a lot in this video if you pay attention. These videos are the ones you want to watch if you're trying to get really good at the game and you don't know where to start. And there's just so much info in these. So with that, let's get into the game. So the mixed eco strat involves me starting off with a 0-0 farm and then upgrading that to 1-0. Now, why do I do this? And we'll get to it in a second, and I'll pause it when we place it and stuff. So we place our farm right there, and the reason we do this is because eco gets you more money. Now I know that sounds awkward, and also awkward into why we're placing a farm. And the reason eco doesn't get you more money in reality, and I know this sounds confusing, just let me keep saying this, and it gets you less money in reality because you cannot invest all of your money. You notice how in the games, if you just send constant reds, by start around 4, you'll have like 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 saved up, depending on how many towers you placed, if any. And it really adds up. So what are we going to do to stop that loss of investing? I mean, when you're just having $2,000 sitting there around 4, you know you're doing something wrong. When you have $1,000 sitting there, you're doing something wrong. There's something you can do more efficient. So this strategy is designed to tackle that inefficiency of eco early game. So we get up that farm because we are not going to be investing the money otherwise, which is a really interesting take I found on it. I just randomly tried it one day and it worked because of that inefficiency you have early game. So this gets rid of that inefficiency early game, and it allows you to transition into the mid game better with eco. And then it also gives you, at the same time, that versatility that farms provide, because you can sell your farms. You can't sell eco, but at the same time, you're getting as much eco as if you were eco strat by round 13 at least. At the same time, you're getting as many farms as the farm people are by like round 20 or so. And it's just really works out. I don't know what else to say about that. So let's get into this a little more. And again, right now there isn't really much to say besides the fact that we're both starting off with dart monkeys. I saw a lot of people were saying, oh, it's because you're trying to trick them. And that is an interesting point. However, that is not the aim of the strategy. The aim of the strategy was purely to tackle the inefficiency. So you can see, we're getting up our dart monkey, he's getting up the dart monkey, but at the same time, we're sending reds. So we're already getting the pressure going, and you'll see how we practically are spending all of our money. We have a couple hundred, that's nothing big to worry about. Instead, we could have like 1,000 saved up, or something like that, and investing that in farms. But at the same time, farms get you less money at these rounds. And yes, I know that sounds awkward, but right now, I have more money than he does. More eco. And that's not because eco's better early game. It's because I've invested so much more money in it that he can't keep up. And the other point is that you're seeing, see all these blues? And that transitions into greens and yellows. And you have to get so much defense to be able to deal with those that they're in constant pressure. They're constantly having to get more defense, and it stops them from farming as well. And if you've noticed in games where farms versus eco, the farmer cannot farm as much as if it was farms versus farms. And that's because the eco user provides pressure early game. That is the other part of the game that this is really tackling is it takes advantage of that extra efficiency of farms, but at the same time, it puts all that pressure, and they're having to get more defense, and they can't save up for their farms as easily. Sure, they get up farms, but it is not nearly as easily. Okay, I guess we can't click the spacebar to unpause it. Probably need to get a new video player. So you see, he's sending pinks at us. No big deal. I'm not really worrying, but I'm sending blues. My focus is eco. If I lose a few lives here, it doesn't really matter, because I'm gonna have that eco lead to where it doesn't really matter. At least that's what I'm planning to have. And you see, sure, he got up another farm, but what does he sacrifice to get up the extra farm? So if you notice, he has 1, 2 darts and a farm. Meanwhile, we have 1, 2, and we don't even have to upgrade this dart yet, and a farm. So he probably has around 270 eco right now with those pinks. Maybe 280 if he's lucky. Was one farm worth almost 100 eco? And how I answer that question, it is not worth it. It may be worth it to you, but to me, I do not find that worth it. If you have a 1-0 farm that gets you 3 bananas per round, 120 bucks, I want to say, is it 40? Let's just go with that. I'm not sure if it's 40 or 60. I want to say it's 40 though. But, so 120 bucks a round. You would need like 6-second rounds to make the farm worth more than 100 eco. And the rounds take longer than 6 seconds, so mathematically I have more eco, even though I'm going eco. Which people are not used to seeing. So we're going to get back into the game. And you can see we're just keeping up the constant stream of blues. He has to get another dart monkey because A-game targeting. So he can get more defense, not more farms, and now that eco lead's gone from like 100 to 130. And it's just going to keep increasing. And it's not that the eco itself is better, it's the fact that it's combined with the increased efficiency from the farm. We'll get more money to send eco than normal. And the fact that he has so much pressure that we're able to get this eco lead. Okay, he's got up a second farm. What's our eco difference? Like 200 or so. It keeps increasing. He's having to get more defense because he knows we're going to be sending yellows next round. And yellows, you have to worry about, because they really pile on. So you see, we're getting up a tiny bit more defense, saving up a little. So, keeping up with that pressure, we waste 5-6 seconds, something like that, to where we can send a giant amount of yellows. Okay, he's got up another farm. But how much is the eco lead now? So he's still somewhere around that 270-ish. He's up 3 farms. We're up 320 eco. It's a big difference. And now the rounds are starting to get longer. Not much longer, but slightly longer as you get into the mid-game. Especially with rounds like 7. That's a really long round. Round 12 is a decently long round now. And with those rounds, the eco piles on. So you can see we're really having a nice eco lead. And this is ecos higher than you see with normal Bloon eco, which I found really amazing. Because of that extra efficiency early game, you can send so much more greens and yellows that you get insane amounts of eco. So I know we got a little lucky with having cannon as our 4th tower. We can play a tiny bit more greedy. But the concepts remain the same. You get up that Juggernaut, and there's nothing he can do. And we would have been able to afford the Juggernaut before they leak, but we may have had the battle energy. Doesn't really matter. But he's sending pinks. So you see, he's playing smart. He's trying to take advantage of the fact that we don't have much defense, but we're able to defend. At the same time, we have 650 eco to his 270, probably around 300 now. So 350 eco lead for 3 farms. And What is he going to do? Rush us? We have farms to sell now. Which means, unlike the eco user that you generally play, who has around 600 eco at this time, maybe 650 if they're greedy, they don't have farms to sell. I have farms to sell, I have more money, I have more income. And if he rushes me, I can always counter him, because I have more economy than him. Or if he rushes and I defend, I take full advantage of that, and I transition into the mid game a whole lot better. Now, one thing I have been testing is using tack as my third tower. I noticed, if you'll notice during the gaming chat video, or game and attorney, that video is going to follow this, just with the music, whatever. But I went tack in there, and that tack is designed to make round 13 even easier on you, and at the same time, I think there may be some defending tricks for the later game, but I still need to test that and all. But that's in the works. But I think that might actually be better to go than ace with this strategy. I have not tested it yet, but it does seem like it might be interesting. So, we're gonna just keep going in, and let's see, does he decide to rush us round 13? Nope, he doesn't. So he has the ace. So what are we gonna do when he has ace? We're going to force him to get up Operation Dartstorm. We're going to send as many balloons as possible. Normally, I would just get up more farms, but he has an ace right there, which means he has to spend a lot of money to get up defense, which means he has to sell a farm. So, let's say he still has around his 300 eco. He is now up a single 1-0 farm on us for 440 eco. At that point, you know it's not worth it to have that extra 1-0 farm. We're going to get up our farms faster, we're going to get up more farms, and there's nothing he can do about it at this point because our eco is so far ahead. If he sends us a rush large enough to force us to sell farms, we can counter a rush to force him to sell because he will not have any money left. And that is just the sad reality of what this strat does to people. If you cannot take advantage of it early game, you will get destroyed. Because they have far more money than you. If they is the person using my strat at least. That sounded really weird. So now we're just going to keep getting up farms. We really don't have to worry because we're going to get far more money. Our goal right now is to get up our fourth tier farm as fast as possible. And I know that sounds really weird when you're playing an eco strat. Oh, go on eco. We'll just outlast them. No, our goal is to get up our 4th tier farm because the 4th tier farm separates you. It's a huge power spike for farms. So why am I not going to use it? I mean, I could just build up a bunch of 2-0 farms, outlast them, that kind of stuff, get up a bunch of eco. And that would work. However, the goal of this strategy is not to just survive. It is to pressure them, it is to force them to play safe. And you can't do that just plain eco into these round 20s and whatever. Especially when he has an Operation Dartstorm up. I'm going to take full advantage of the fact that I have farms, otherwise it is a wasted tower slot. So I'm going to go for that 4th tier farm, which is just such a powerful upgrade, for competitive play at least, that you just simply have to go for. And unlike him, who has 300 eco whatever, we have our eco way faster, so it's more efficient for us to only go for 4 farms than 5. When you're going plain farms, it's generally more efficient to go 5. So we can start saving up for that 4th tier farm earlier. Even if we're tied in farms, we can save up for it earlier, which means we hit that 4th tier farm quicker. Even if we're keeping equal in the farms. Because we're losing less money to selling and stuff, and we have the eco. So, you see, he's going up for his next farm. I probably would have gone for that before going for that 3rd tier farm. And round 20, we've got our 4th tier farm. On round 20. But we also have 737 eco. Keep in mind that most people, when they get their farms up around 20, have 250 eco. And you see, he is now BFB rushing us. But we have eco. which means we're getting a lot of money with that 4th tier farm and the eco. So we're getting up a bunch of 0-0 dart monkeys, and we can just sell a little to get that Super Monkey fan club, selling a couple of the triple darts, because we don't need much defense for a BFB. That isn't an issue. Worst case, we just battle energy it, because we have 3. So we defended that, and now he just lost the game. Now, I know that sounds very cocky and all that at the same time. Like, what if he outplays us? Sure, he can outplay us. But what money does he have? He just wasted all of his Bloon eco. So he has 0 now, or just about 0. He has no 4th tier farm. We have a 4th tier farm. So we're up farms. Like, we have over 20,000 we could sell in farms and still have a decent eco. He doesn't even have his 4th tier farm up. He has 0 eco, which means that we have such a massive farm lead and eco lead that there is nothing he can do at this point. And that is what this strategy gets you to. If this strategy is played well, it gets you to the point where you have such a large eco lead that they can't do anything. It just beats them macro-wise, which is, most people do not realize battles involves a lot of macro play. Everyone's like, oh, they got great micro. And while the game involves a lot of micro, this strategy just abuses the normal farm strategy macro-wise. And that is why it's able to destroy it so well. So, at this point, we will just abuse our farm lead. So, what are we going to do? We're going to pressure him, force him to sell farms. So, let's see how we take advantage of the fact that he doesn't have farms. At this point, we have such a farm lead, it doesn't really matter what we do, really. I mean, we could take this late game. We can waste money by selling Super Monkey Fan Club. And if we were up on lives, then it'd be really scary for him because he would have to rush us and we have eco. So, let's see. We're sending regens, it looks like. So we're sending some regrow leads, trying to force out some battle energy, it looks like. And layering. And since he only has 1 Juggernaut, this can force him to do stuff. And notice we're also sending some fast cooldown ceramics, which forces him to battle energy. And that was a large regrowth rush. But he had the battle energy, which means he's down the battle energy, and we can send BFB at him. And he's going to have to Super Monkey Fan Club that. He can't battle energy it and somehow get lucky. He has to Super Monkey Fan Club that. And you see, he gets up the Super Monkey Fan Club. So, sure, he'll defend it. The point of that rush is not to kill him. He just sold a farm. We still have our farm. Basically, we're trading our Bloon eco for his farm eco at this point. We will sacrifice our Bloon eco, so he sacrifices farms. And since we have a 4th tier farm to fall back on, there is nothing he can do. He has to sell, and since he has... now he has to sabotage, so he got a really good 4th tier tower. Or 4th tower. Because Ace Ninja is basically an unstoppable tower combination when you go Dart Farm. But since we had such a large economy lead, he couldn't do anything. So he is preparing to ground zero this. And he defends it. Now, you probably could also defend that with Super Monkey Fan Club. However, you also have the AI going around. You would probably have to battle energy. So, he's having to ground zero that. Now, that's not what you're going to see in most games. I know it's a bit extreme for the buy-selling. He probably would just Super Monkey Fan Club. However, he is so far behind in the farm battle, it doesn't matter. He has 0 economy. We have 0 economy. If he had 3 2-0 farms at this point, there is no way he is supporting that 4th tier farm. At least at a reasonable time. And we've effectively won the game at this point. I mean, effectively long ago, but we pressed our economy lead, and sure, we lost more economy overall, but we had way more economy to sacrifice. So an economy hit on him is far greater than what it is for us. And with one 4th tier farm, we can transition to the late game pretty well. I mean, not amazingly, but what is he going to do? Send 1 ZOMG at us? 2? That isn't tough to defend at all. I mean, it's not like he's sending infinite ZOMGs from around 25 on or something like that. It's an easy rush to defend late game like that. There's nothing he can do to kill us. We're up on lives. And we're up on the economy by a long shot. Even if he hadn't used Ground Zero there, but Super Monkey fan clubs, we would have been far ahead in the economy battle. It didn't matter. So, we're just going to keep going to the game. He has to Super Monkey fan club everything because he doesn't have any money otherwise. Because of all these ceramics going around. I mean, we're Super Monkey fan clubbing it also. Because it's just too risky to not to. And he's getting more Dart Monkeys to increase his Super Monkey fan club. But you see, he just continues to have to Super Monkey fan club the AI. And he decides to counter rush us because there's nothing he can do at that point. So we sell our 4th tier farm. Because he just wasted all of his money. And he's just going to have to keep selling at Super Monkey fan club. And that is what we're abusing at this point. So we're just going to Ground Zero all that. Make it a non-issue. And send some ceramics there just to force him to Super Monkey fan club. There's the AI Moabs. And GG. There was nothing he can do at that point. So this strategy is a prime example of how you can win the game macro-wise. This strategy did not require better execution than the other strategy. Did not require better micro than the other strategy. It is a pure macro strategy that takes advantage of the strategy simply being better. And sure, people will adapt to it. That's not what I'm saying. But how many people went into the tourney expecting, oh, Candy Sun is going to go mixed eco. Candy Sun is going to go engineer wizard on pools. There's more than one way to win a game. Sure, you can use the exact same strategy over and over again, just defend everything they send. But at the same time, you can also create something new. Force the people to adapt to you. Mold the game yourself. Play it how you want to. There's many ways to say it. But you don't have to conform to be good at the game. And that is a very misunderstood way of battles, is that everyone's like, oh, use Dart Farm Chipper, you'll instantly start winning. And sure, you'll win against the quick battles people, but that's not the point. That doesn't make you good, necessarily. Sure, that increases your win-loss, but win-loss is not equal to skill. You can be creative and win at the same time, but being creative and winning requires you to have a much greater knowledge of the game and being able to adapt to scenarios you've never seen. Because when I'm using strats like this, it's not like I've spent years developing this strategy. I've built upon years of knowledge because I've been playing the game for years, but I've never encountered most of these scenarios when I use this strat because I haven't used this strat much at all. I just work with what I have and I keep going. And I just adapt to what people do. So that is a prime example of how you can be creative and win at the same time. So, if you're really wanting to get good, you don't necessarily have to go Dart Farm Chipper. Play what you enjoy. And whether or not you're winning every single game, that's not the point. The point, if you want to get good, is to learn what the game is. Learn what's behind the game, how everything works. Because Dart Farm Chipper isn't going to be the meta forever. If you learn just Dart Farm Chipper, what about when people start going Dart Farm Ace? How do you adapt? Or Dart Farm Attack, how do you adapt? Dart Farm Ninja, how do you adapt? Eco, how do you adapt? Cobra Income. There's just so many different possibilities that this game can go into. Especially with the strategy you saw at the tournament. You saw Cobra being used effectively. How do you adapt to that if you're just used to a 3 towers combination? And there's just so much you can take the game to if you just learn it. And I think that's all I have to say for this video. So, with that, hope you all enjoyed, and See you on the next one.
days I do remember. We were running still, had the whole world at our feet, watching seasons change. Our roads were